Cool.
You ready, Max?
Yeah.
You ready, Andrew?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, I was born ready, buddy.
Oh, man.
All right. Hey, we're going again with Max MacDonald, special effects wizard, man.
Oh.
Welcome. Thanks for coming down.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, you almost have like a beard and hair of a wizard and everything.
Yeah, I actually shaved last night because I didn't want to look like, I don't want to mention his name, but his initials are Randy.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
I get it.
Yeah.
Nobody else probably got it, but I got it.
Oh, we all have whiskers. D, did you shave today? Do you have whiskers? No, she can.
D?
No. So, Max, thank you. Man, you've been around forever. We've known each other a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I just need some secrets revealed.
Okay.
So reveal some.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, your imagination is the flywheel in the ransackled machinery of the awful truth. That's secret number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Those
write that down?
wizards.
That's very, very wizardy.
That's right.
Hey, listen, how did it all start? Where are you from?
Basically Toronto. I moved. My family moved around a lot, but I kind of started. I used to manage one of the large guns and propellant stores
Okay.
in Canada, and we used to sell millions of dollars worth of guns and some explosives as well. And film guys, Frenchie John
Yeah.
Berger, used to come in and I used to render his guns blank firing, and he also used to buy a lot of black powder from me, and I always wondered, what they're doing, and I was used to shooting like 2,000 rounds a week, live ammo, promoting guns and that kind of thing, and I always thought, shooting blanks, and it was a terrible thing to do to a gun to begin with. And,
Totally.
and the black powder, they used to tell me what they did with it, and I was thinking, well, that's okay, whatever. Yeah. And then they invited me out to do a show called, I think Coup d'etat. Was up in Borden, and it was about a coup d'etat in a Western country, I guess Canada, and it was fairly low budget, and I was new to the film, other than what I'd listened to from Frenchie and what's Gary. Gary was his partner back then. Now he was head of transport. In any case, they got me out, and I always thought it was a bit flaky, shooting blanks and that kind of thing. And when I went out there, I really thought, wow, this is really flaky. When they told me what they were doing, nothing was real, and it looks like that. And
There's not enough Alec Baldwins out there.
Yeah. So it was unusual. And then after I finished that, they'd asked me again to do something, and I just said, no, that one experience was good enough for me. And then I got asked to blow up something, and so I said, yeah. And I blew it up, and, sort of took it from there, and I slowly got into it. And, French used to come in, and Gary, when they didn't have any money, leave their guns with me. I'd give them money, and I'd just put them on the back rack, and when they got a show, they'd come in and buy them back.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so it went on for that for
A firearms what's it
pawn
called?
shop.
Pawn
Yeah,
shop.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But, and then I got out of the guns and explosives business, started my own in junk mail. I used to have 317 of the most unemployable people in the world work for me, and print it and deliver it, blah blah.
Yeah.
And then I ended up selling that and made some good money. And I went down to the Caribbean for 18 months. And I thought, they'll send me money. Of course, they ran the business into the ground, and I was sailed back to Toronto with 46 cents in my pocket in November, and a great tan. And I ran into a producer, and he said, "Oh yeah, we've been looking for you. We were wondering about you. We got this show and blah blah blah. Will you come and do it?" type thing. Because I've done a few before I left, and
Yeah.
I got fed up with it. And so I got that, and I sort of went on from there.
Right. It never ended.
No, and I got clothes because when I arrived, I had like I said, 46 cents, and shorts 10
Yeah.
in November. And I actually landed in Toronto Harbor, and harbor master wanted me to leave, but under international law, if I'm having boat trouble, then I stayed there for 2 weeks and didn't pay
The slip fee.
well, there was no slip free. I just dropped the hook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so then I did a couple of low budget shows with them, and it sort of went on and on from there. So
And kind of grew.
yeah.
That's interesting. What got you into the gun store? Like what
I've always been interested in guns. I've been hunting since I was a kid. So
You don't look like a gun guy or anything.
No, I know.
No.
he's like a ninja.
My father and grandfather used to take me hunting. I think I shot my first moose and deer when I was 12, and they used to have me clean them and then take them back, because our closest neighbor was about 14 miles, so we'd have to bring all the meat out, and they had a big 3 horsepower on this huge steel boat, and take me all day to take get it back to where there was a road. So.
But that's what sparked your interest in firearms in the first place.
I was working, and my dad said, this particular Hound Sportigus was looking for someone that knew something about guns, because they couldn't really keep anyone that sort of had in-depth knowledge, and I did. So I started working there, and then worked myself up while I worked there, and. I could do all the reloading. That was second nature to me. Any gun I could take apart, put back together. And as far as explosives, my grandfather we used to steal all his dynamite and shit, and go out and take out beaver dams, because he hated beavers, and et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah.
It's classic
Why
Canadian
not?
shit right there.
Yeah, we used to actually ride our bikes, go and pick up the dynamite, and then in the one bike, and put the initiators in the other bike. And when I used to get it at Home Hardware, the guys used to see us and just shake his head and start sweating, right? Because we'd want a case, because dynamite's super cheap. Right?
What? Just a minute. What did you get at Home Hardware?
Dynamite. They had a magazine in out back.
Really?
Yeah.
At Home Hardware.
Yeah, and if you bought, let's say, 10 sticks, he'd have to sit there and number them all. But we'd buy like a case, and there'd be like anywhere from 250 to 277 in a case. And he wouldn't have to mark every piece. He'd just mark the outside of the case. So.
You can't even buy firecrackers now.
I know. Home
Home
Hardware.
Hardware.
Yeah, this
Selling
is-
dynamite since 1802.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
a commercial.
and it'd be like, not real powerful stuff, but 60-40, 70-30, you
Yeah.
know. And we'd go out and have some fun with it. It was
Sounds like it.
second nature. Yeah, so. But the Home Hardware in Sunridge, Ontario, used to sell dynamite. And you had to be 16 or get a note from your dad or some shit.
Yeah, you need a note for sure.
We used to write our own notes.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Well, I did it once, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's easy to tell that guns and explosives can get you where you are today.
Yeah.
It's easy to see the bridge. But yeah, what got you into special effects?
Well, it was more sort of a natural thing. I'd gotten kind of tired of dealing with certain people in the gun community, that kind of thing. Everyone's an expert, and you hear the same story a billion times, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know that.
yeah, and it was just something different, and I'd done a little bit of it, or learned a bit of it from, John, and they just asked me on board, and it seemed sort of natural. I was mechanically inclined, and some of the things they were doing, I needed to refine to their specifications, right? I knew how to do it safely, or whatever it was.
Right.
And I was used to doing the real stuff, and they weren't doing the real stuff. But having said that, they were still dealing in, significant power in some form or other, and close proximities and things like that.
But
so,
movies, they do it more for visual
yeah,
as
exactly.
opposed to the actual real effect of the explosive.
Yeah, and you want to make it as slow as possible, because the camera doesn't see anything over 200 50 feet a second, let's say. So if you're doing an explosion, what you want to do is use very little or as little as possible and weaken the structure so the camera actually sees it. If you go high speed, that's a different
Right.
kettle of fish. I did a show, D-Day to Victory, where we used all equivalents to the real stuff that they used in the Second World War. So TNT, ammonium nitrate, PETN powder, and we used live ammo. So you had to be a lot more careful with that.
But that was the point of that show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To actually replicate what would really happen with this using the real munitions that actually
Real
hit
explosives,
it.
yeah. Yeah, so it was, they built a whole town for me, boats. They gave me a bridge. They gave me 3 real tanks, 2 Shermans and a Leopard. I turned into a, quote, Tiger tank. And, I took them all out, as they would in the Second World War. So what it was archival footage, and they had Canadians, British, and Russians. They said what happened, and then we simulated as real as possible to that. They threw a grenade. I made the equivalent of a grenade. There was a scene where they dropped or a V2 rocket came in with 1,000 kilograms of high explosives in a church, and 2 doors down there was a movie theater, or maybe a block down was a movie theater, and it was described by a Canadian Marine. He says it was, I think, in I forget the town in Holland or the city in Holland, but they received more B2 and B1 rockets than London, Amsterdam, I think it was, or another. I think Amsterdam, yeah. In any case, he went into the theater, and everyone, 70, 80 people were dead in there, and the light was still on, with the theater, and they were all covered in dust. Some of them even have their eyes open. They had their wine and chocolates and stuff there, and they had to take all the dead bodies out. And he had fought all through D-Day. He was at Juno Beach and everything else, and he said it still disturbs him to this day, taking out those people. So the V2 rocket came down, destroyed the church. They built me a church. I destroyed the church. The blast wave came through and killed everyone in the theater. Turned their guts into jelly.
A block away.
A block or 2 away. So basically, we put in some, some balloons, obviously, with blood, and they filmed at high speed. We also had ballistics gel, stuff like that. And and I think the veterans said we recreated to the equivalent of what it was. So, and we did this with a number of. I'll send you the. There's a Vimeo promotional reel from Jeremy Benning, who actually shot it, and we used 5 Phantoms and a Gold, and then some camera from England that was 7,500 frames a second. So they actually caught.
And for those who are listening that don't know, a Phantom is an incredibly high-speed camera.
Yeah, and they're worth about $1 million each, and of course I couldn't, destroy any of them. So
Yeah.
I made housings for them and put them really close. But some of the footage is one of a kind. No one's ever done it. So it was kind of, it was a challenge, but I was kind of used to that from my original days where, I'm not using, 16 ounces of black powder. I'm using 16 pounds or
Right.
1,000 pounds of.
You're not doing the film.
Yeah, this wasn't
visual
Hollywood.
effect. Right.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was, there was no
Yeah.
actors involved, but there was a crew there, and I probably went through 10, maybe 20,000 rounds of different live ammo, armor piercing, incendiary. Shot it at night.
Really?
All kinds of big caliber stuff that I had to make and reload, and because they had the guns, they just didn't have the ammo. And then I brought up a lot of ammo from the States, and I have a special license, for control goods, so I could bring up some pretty weird shit, and they really loved it. Even the military out there, the base commander and the guy in charge of targeting, this sergeant major, premier, and some other political bigwigs came out, and they were amazed at what we were doing and our safety protocol and everything else. Even though I was dealing with film people, and there was a couple that were, let's say, not up to speed, and there was and I sort of pissed off the showrunner because I wouldn't let her on set or the art department because I had everyone tagged and I had safety procedures, and they ignored them. And I said, you only do that once because you're out of here. So I'd have them drive like 2 miles out to the main road, then I'd do the effect, and then I'd have to come back. And every time, when I first told them that, he said, we're going to have you fired and everything. I said, you go right ahead because it's my way or the highway.
Yeah, totally.
And so E1 phoned me that was running it and said, whatever you say goes. We've heard all this, complaints. And I said, listen, if you can hear it, you're alive. It's when you don't hear it, you're dead. And I'm not interested in hurting anyone. I don't care about their feelings, of course. I don't mind hurting them. I told them, it's just like, nothing's going to happen. You don't want to follow what I say and the safety procedures, you're not going to be here.
Yeah.
Then the base commander came, that's right. Well, don't hurt any turtles. This guy loved fucking turtles. He shut the whole
Love
show
fucking
down.
turtles or loved fucking turtles?
I don't know.
What he does on weekends.
Whatever it is, he said, don't hurt any turtles. So he actually shut the production down because they found 2 turtles overturned on the road and with damage to their underside. And he got a fucking turtle expert in.
Were they shell shocked?
They were.
Oh,
Oh.
damn.
Yeah, I made that up on my own.
If you want to start that, I can give you a lot more of that. You won't like it. But they determined that an otter had ate them, so he'd let me go do anything I want.
Oh, wow.
And they gave me carte blanche. It was funny when I originally was going out there, and you got to remember the people I was dealing with were, the guys from England were actually pretty good because they'd kind of done something not quite similar, but not, at the scale. So they sort of understood. And the people I was dealing with, they just put, a bean counter there, and that's all she cared about. She didn't know vehicles had gas tanks. Why are you putting gas in your, blah, blah, that kind of shit. And, you'd have to walk 10 minutes to get a drink of water because she didn't want, water bottles on set, or, and it's summer, and I won't. Should I mention her name? No. In any case, when I ordered the stuff, I ordered like 10,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate, and I forget how much det cord, some ridiculous amount of the stuff they call mean green, 400 grain. It's Plus, I ordered they're booster chargers that are like Coke cans, but they're full of PETN, which goes off at 22,000 feet a second, which is 10 times faster than a rifle bullet. And I used that to boost the ammonium nitrate because, I didn't want to fuck around. And I had to do, these huge bombing runs, 500-pound bombs that they dropped in Pelly's pocket, against the Germans when they're trying to escape out of Normandy. So I was simulating that with all these old trucks. I even built a couple of, I took a 3-ton 1940s Ford that didn't run, and I put it on a 6-ton bulldozer body and vaporized that. So it was...
Man, right on.
You got to see the videos.
Really?
It's incredible.
Yeah. So in any case, when I was ordering this stuff, I phoned Ministry of Natural Resources and said, this is what I'm doing type thing. Well, after that, I got about 3 or 4 phone calls from some agencies I'd never heard of, and I was like, I guess CSIS, U.S. State Department, and a few other people. And I can tell you for sure that they don't have a fucking sense of humor.
Yeah.
They were dead serious about why you'd, and I said, well, I'm doing a film, it's blah, blah, and this is where I'm doing it. And I had permission from, the base at Gagetown. And it was the only place in Canada where I could do it. Beeford and all the other bases would only allow 25 pounds or 25 kilograms, I forget which, of high explosives. So that was, next to useless. I went through.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned ordering that much ammonium nitrate, and then all the dead cord. It's got to start setting bells and whistles off in somebody's office.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean,
Holy mackerel!
yeah.
You know,
Well, I went fishing with a guy that's the only thing I understood with him was mackerel. He couldn't get out of the North Cape, so I took 2 cases of dynamite and blew all the ice so we could go. And then he took me fishing. The guys had fingers like bananas, and
Oh my
all I ate
God.
was mackerel the whole time. So I guess I digressed there. Right?
yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna be careful what I say.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to set
In any
them off.
case, it came in and it was all, escorted and this, that, and the other thing. And when I just told my guys, as soon as they crossed into Gagetown, they have a whole different law there, military law and or regulations or rules or whatever. And they give me carte blanche. I just throw it on the pickup trucks, get it in, and we just load after load. We had an old magazine they had. We stored, certain there and initiator somewhere else, and went to town. But it was quite an experience, and no one's ever sort of done that effect that I know of anywhere.
Can people listening to this, can they see this anywhere? Like the
Yeah, D-Day to Victory. I've got a lot of
D-Day to victory.
victory. You go on Vimeo, you can pick up Jeremy Benning, and he said after we did this, it sort of his phone didn't stop, with the kind of footage they got. So it's really high-speed footage. Some of the flame stuff is shot too fast because flames don't do very well, but high explosives, when you get up around 2,500 to 5,000 feet a second, you see all the detail. And the faster you go, the less you can lie. Like in film, you can lie about kind of everything you do as far as the explosions or, if you look in the monitor, it looks like lots of jeopardy, but of course when you are there, you think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
oh, yeah,
blow up a
100%,
car,
for sure.
Big deal,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So, but this was kind of the real thing. If and I made all kinds of bunkers for people, and I was dead serious that even though, like, I'm easy to get along with, people really, really like me or they love me. There's no in between, right?
Are you
So I
digressing again?
noticed that.
Yeah. I'm digressing. But out there, they had to take me serious, and if you didn't, you weren't going to be there.
Right.
It's that simple.
It makes
And
sense.
if you want to get rid of me, that's fine.
Max,
I'll take,
bring this closer if you can. Yeah, you can swing it if you want to lean back like that. Yeah, just bring it in.
so it's I'm easy to get along with. I always feel sorry for the director in so much as they have a time constraint and they have to fight with every department to get what they want. I never feel that way when I go in. Anything you want, that's fine. You want to blow up the CN tower? I'll do that for you. Go talk to production. Let them give you the bad news about how much it's going to cost for the cleanup and stuff like that.
Totally.
Yeah, and the other thing I do is, if I can't do it that way, I'll give you 3 or 4 other options that you can do that gives you the same.
Same sort of effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when a young guy gets into the business, they're usually doing smoke or holding a fan or something. You don't seem like the guy that did that.
No, and when I hire people,
He started off blowing shit up.
Yeah, he just
when I
pushed
hire
it
people,
up.
I don't expect them to do that either. If you're, no offense against the union, there's lots of good things about the union. I don't know any of them, but the thing is, everyone tends to want the limelight, or
Totally.
I'm the pyro guy. I'm this or that. You work for me, you do it all. I don't care if you're pushing a button, doing a smoke machine. If you get on that board and do it, then you're going to do it. So I let them do everything, and I don't care who you are. But if you prove not to be trustworthy, then
Right.
Well, of course.
He's going to have to prove him or she to get on the button in the first place.
yeah. And it's not being on the button. The real talent is not doing something. So let's say you're using a pegboard. Let's say you have
I'm
5
with you.
pegs.
Yeah.
The guy's running and he doesn't hit his mark. It's the idea that you go boom, 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 and then you can stop.
And you take your
Right. So
Wicked sense.
and you got to make that split decision. And there's some people that can do it, and there's some people that can't. And the people that can't, I still let them do the board because it's fun and it's not pushing a button and staying in your ticky-tacky box.
Yeah.
Actually, this is something that we've never talked about on the podcast, even though this often involves stunt guys with squibs and things like that. Can you explain the board a little bit for anyone that's listening?
The board's pretty old-fashioned. It's called a nail board. Of course, I use pegs, and you have holes. You have a peg that goes in that hole. You put the positive wire in that hole. Then the negatives all go together because it's common, and then that just goes to a battery, whether you do 12 volt, 24, or 72, depending on how far the line goes. And then you have a peg in your other hand that goes on the positive, and as you touch your nails, pegboard, it sends a charge down the line to initiate the event.
Right on. Yeah.
So that's old-fashioned. The thing about the old-fashioned is who's ever on the board, there's no excuse. If you're using electronic, which everyone does now, I still use pegboards. I use electronic when necessary, or holotrons. But if you make a mistake, it's you. It's nothing to do with electronics or anything. You have a peg in your hand, or a striker in your hand. You have a peg on the board. You touch the two, goes boom. And if you screw that up, then
Yeah, what you said made sense because you're paying the pegboard, and you get into the habit of boom, 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 boom down the line.
Right.
But that guy falls down, and his face is
he
on
trips
top of the
on
next
something.
charge.
Yeah.
You can't continue that habit. You got to pull it away.
Exactly. Or a lot of them will put it on an automatic sequencer that everything's perfect. Well, everything's not perfect, and even if it's 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 1,000,000, it doesn't go in numerical order. So you have to be paying attention all the time. That's why when people talk to me on the pegboard, I don't listen to anything except stop or cut, and I watch the event the whole time. And it's not that I'm rude to people, is that that's my
That's your focus. That's
it, and that's what's important. And I've seen a lot of
uh,
guys, screw up in different ways with
Going the other way
any
or
of the
something.
automatic stuff. Having a pegboard is pretty tough to screw up because it's, I guess it's the old saying, keep it simple, stupid. Especially if it's a real dangerous event. Sometimes you have to use a blaster, which has a condenser in it that you initiate, and then it, like if you're blasting explosives and stuff, and it's one at a time. I even have a plunge one, and I let the guys use that to prove that what you could do with a pegboard or 12 volt or 24 volt battery doesn't work with certain distances. So, if you take a typical blaster, old-fashioned push down, Wile E. Coyote kind of thing, you can go 2.5 miles with that. There's no amps, lots of voltage, and if you touch the two ends, it'll put you right on your ass, right? Because it's got that much voltage. But it'll go the distance. And when I was doing D-Day to Victory, that's all I used out there was blasters, because and solid wire is another thing, as opposed to in film and television, a lot of people use braided wire, like 22 gauge speaker wire and stuff like that. Well, you can't go the distance with that because it's so much resistance. You got to go more and more with the voltage. Whereas solid wire, you can, I wouldn't say go forever, but going 2-3 kilometers with it, not a problem.
Wow. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Wow.
Well, it's all,
Now, when you hire somebody on the team, do they have to enjoy bombing, exploding shit? And
No, I got people that, just love to be there and tinker, weld, make things. You got to watch when you get people in, or effects guys that are kind of cowboyish. They want to do that. Let's blow up this. Let's do that. And they think more is, go big or go home. Well,
right.
That's not true. What you want to do is play to the camera and what the camera can see.
Yeah.
I see a lot of explosions, and by, big name effects guys that you may as well put a white piece of paper in front of the camera, pull it away, and show the aftermath. Like, why do it? I've been on a few that they've asked me for my advice. They haven't taken my advice, and they ended up being unusable because, like I say, it's you just don't see it.
Yeah.
Or it looks big in person. You're there and you go, wow. Or if you don't know any better, you go, wow. But you look at the the monitor or the cameras and you think, well, that didn't work.
Do you ever kill a director's dream because he wanted to see something big, or she?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't think so. I usually talk them into, because I always ask, where's the camera going to be? What lens are you using? Not that I'm a pro at lenses or anything, but
No, but I get it for sure.
yeah, you want to play to what they want. I did a thing called it's a video game for Star Wars, and this guy wanted a huge explosion, and I said, yeah, I'll give you that. And I explained how, and one of the bad guys' ships comes down, crashes, and then there's all these explosions, and he showed me where they were, and then the hero runs through the area, and there's huge explosions next to him. And I was in a parking lot on Commissioner Street, and they actually dug holes, because I said, you got to dig some holes here to protect the actor. And they did these 3-foot holes, and then they're going to pave over, so they had money. But when I did the explosion, and I went through probably 100 pounds of black powder and different size bombs and different configurations of mortars and that, but they never told me there was going to be a green screen 20 feet behind it. And I'm using these huge fireballs and stuff, and they brought these green screens in from Australia. They were in 40-foot containers, and they had their own structure to hold them up and stuff. And when I got there, I'd make tons of bombs and stuff, and I said, well, what's this shit? And they said, well, that's the green screen. I said, well, isn't it a little close, type thing. And so, I reoriented everything, and then I did a sequence where it went boom, 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 as the spaceship was rolling along the ground. And he came up to me, he says, I love that. He says, and it took hours and hours to do it. And lucky, I'd had a bunch of people, and they were just making me bombs, so I had lots left over. And he said, no, let's try it all at once. Like you can do it in 5 minutes or something. And I'm thinking, all at once? Because I'm really worried about burning the green screen right now. And I was using these huge sparks, like, like a DSC, like you see ones and, halves and quarters. Well, I have these 5s. You have to put them in mortars, and they're just like evil motherfuckers, right?
Dang, yeah.
And they go forever, and they are hot, and they are loud. Even I think they're loud, and I'm deaf. One
This
ear.
is why you're deaf.
No, actually, I'm deaf because I think it was in grade 9 we made nitroglycerin in the
What?
in grade 9. In any case, we were talking, and I was looking at the meniscus going up, and it turned dark purple, and I was reading about it. Actually, that's when they had books back then, and I saw the passage where do not let this go purple, and I'm looking in, it's very dark purple, and I guess it went down, blew the the glass tube I was holding over the fire, which I shouldn't have been, and got me in the arm, got me in the chest, and it blew up the back wall, and I put a piece of glass in the teacher's arm as well. And ever since then, I had real hard to hear out of my left ear, so it didn't happen at work, I guess. But in any case,
in training.
Yeah, it's training.
Yeah, training.
In any case, I got this together real quick because I thought, hey, it is what it is, and then I banked everything towards the crowd as opposed to the green screen because I figured you could always replace the crowd. That's
Yeah,
that
100%.
affects human.
That's hilarious, actually.
And then
But people don't realize that are listening to this, people that aren't in the film industry, that for the most part, you will direct your explosions away from.
oh yeah, always. Yeah.
I mean, you can almost, a stunt guy stands there and the explosion is blasting either backwards or sideways away from him. Yeah.
Well, as a stunt guy, I've been close to a lot of explosions, and I mean,
Yeah,
they really are hot. It's hot stuff, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, some of them are. And I've never had a stunt guy give me a hard time about, you know, the explosions I've done them, and I've done them pretty close. I remember, guy's dead now, nothing to do with me. But we were doing this thing where he comes up and rings the doorbell, and the whole front of the building explodes, and I couldn't hurt the building, so I took out the windows and had huge propane cannons there. And that's his first time up. You know the guy, I used to work with Shane all the time. He was like, Shane's, you know, make me a ramp, do this, do that.
Oh yeah, no, it would have.
Gary?
It'll come to me.
Yeah, Gary? Yeah, he just died, I guess, about 2 years ago all of a sudden.
Uh-huh.
But in any case, he always wanted to be a stunt guy, but he was never very good at it, right? Anything I ever did with him, it's like, this is going to fuck up, you know, that kind of thing. So, in any case, he's sitting there and he's really nervous. And so they got a tag on him, and the idea is the building blows up. He goes all across the front yard and then lands on a car, and then I caved the car in, right? And, of course, this is in the old days when I used to, you know, really fuck with him, right? And I tell him he's the bravest motherfucker I've ever met, and hope this works, and that kind of thing. And you could see him just, you know, like
Shitting
just
himself.
he ended up wetting himself, right, on after the blast. So the idea is they yank him as I boom it, and this flame followed him all the way out to the car, and then stopped about 5 feet away. And so he told me it was quite the experience after, but he didn't really feel the heat.
Wait, sorry. So was he on a wire? You said?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And they had a big crane.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they
And
tagged
yanked
him up.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
and he-
okay.
And I blew the windows. Yeah, I just put rubber glass, and I didn't tell him it was actually rubber glass. Like Shane knew I was screwing with him.
Yeah.
You know, and he said it was okay. You know, that kind of thing.
Of course.
Not
That's
that
hilarious.
I'd listen to him either. I just forget his name, Gary. No, doesn't matter. But in any case, I've done a lot of those where, you know, come close, but the whole idea is, and they had the old crash boxes and everything else with the IMOs and stuff close up, and looked good. You know? Curtis Peterson was shooting it, so
Oh yeah. Well, okay, that tells the story.
it was a North Star thing. Was God, I wish I could remember the guy's name. Doesn't matter. He was a good guy, and he was you remember, but when they got him off the car, they loved everything. And the first AD nudges me and says, he wet himself. Yeah, excellent.
That means it went well. Right?
Yeah.
Now, was that all in one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
no,
they-
I'm just imagining.
yeah. Do it in a winter.
Did they even do? I mean, yeah. Do they do shit like that really
No.
anymore? Not really.
No, well,
I couldn't
not only
imagine.
that, they don't even.
I feel like plate shot, pull them, plate shot,
Yeah.
blast
Yeah,
the windows,
blast the walls.
Yeah.
blast one or two windows. Yeah.
Turn around, have them land on the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely changed a lot. The other thing is, as talented as they are today, a lot of times they don't know any better. That's the only way they know how to do it.
Totally. That makes sense.
Filmmakers or stunt people?
Film.
The older stunt people know.
Right.
The
right.
filmmakers don't. Sometimes you talk to them, and you know, I may as well phone my fucking cat. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Well, if you can't shoot blanks anymore, and that's been going on, let's say, for 3 years, and then you're a new director, that's your thing. That's how you know. That's what you know.
Yeah, but you got to think about this logically. If you can't shoot blanks somewhere, we've shot millions upon millions of blanks over the years. We do things that are inherently dangerous. We probably have the best safety record of any industry in the world.
Totally.
Like
And it takes
GM
one
or
person to run
whatever, kiss the ground you walk on. And you have one incident where someone's done something illegal, stupid. It's like making murder doubly illegal. You know, like
Yeah.
what are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about? Yeah, shit happens. You know, it's like when the girl got hit by the train. Terrible tragedy. They didn't have a permit to be there. They didn't
right.
have anyone looking after her. But, you know, the camera department mourns for 2-3 years about it. And, yeah, it's a tragic, but they don't give a shit about the 40,000 people that die every
Well,
year.
and what's weird too is it becomes
True.
like they pool small independents with studio, with everybody. Everybody's just all together now. You do something stupid on a set with no budget,
Yeah.
and people that don't know everything, and it becomes a thing for everybody.
Well, not only that, they come out with the wrong information, just whatever suits them. I've been a victim of that where, someone said to me about something and it really didn't have anything to do with me. It did and it didn't, but I wasn't responsible for it. So where'd you get this story from? All of a sudden, all gun guys are bad and some are good, or what's the deal? All effects guys are, I'm sure stunts will tell you effects guys that are good and effects guys that aren't good. And I can tell you stunt guys that are good and stunt guys are not. You don't hit your mark, and I tell them every time, even actors, the trick is to hit your mark. If you can do that every time, I can trust you're going to be there. And a good stunt guy will hit his mark every time. If he's there, boom, it goes. If he's not, you got to be able to say no, that kind of thing.
For sure.
And then get yelled at. I've been yelled at tons of times. I don't give a shit. If you're not on the mark, or if I don't feel it's safe, or there's something wrong, no. You get it right, I'll do it. You get it wrong, I'm not doing it. The trouble is, you get, I'm not saying this generation, but I've noticed it because, there's no generation after me, I guess. Is that they always say yes under pressures instead of saying no. I have a director and a producer come up to me and say, "You're going to do this," and I'll say, "No, we got to do it this way." That's something. I don't say I'm not comfortable with it. I say that's fucking stupid. Not only that, I'll be the first one in court to testify against you. All of a sudden, reality hits them, and But most stunt guys know enough, experienced ones, know enough to say that that's unsafe.
That's not right. That's unsafe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's something that you and another number of friends of mine in your industry it appeals to me is your confidence of experience and the years that you've put in. I've watched you. I've been in your presence when you've said similar things to producers and directors.
All right.
That it is not happening.
No.
And now that's what it is, though. It is a confidence. You just have a confidence. You know exactly what works and what doesn't.
Young people are afraid of being frozen out. Like, if I say no to you, I'll never work for you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot of that. At least I do. And I always think, and they think it's more important for them to like them than to do a good job,
Right.
That kind of thing. Or a safe job, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I just did an insurance. The insurance phoned me and said, "Can you look at this? This was done, and there's a $1.7 million claim, but they made it way after the event type thing." And I said, "Yeah, but I don't want to mention names or anything else. I'll go look at it and I'll tell you what happened, and you can take it from there," type thing. And then they said, "Well, you'll have to testify in court. You may have to testify." And I said, "That's fine. I'll testify exactly my experience, what I saw, and what the end result was. I have no problem with that. But, I'm not interested in, rat fucking anyone with something. But I'll give you an honest opinion about, what was what."
I've done similar things
Yeah.
two times in my career. I've been called by lawyers in court or whatever, and I've read the thing and given my professional opinion.
Yeah, well, I think you have to. You want to keep, you want to keep it where the whole industry isn't dominated by rust or, some other idiotic thing where, for the thousands or millions of inherently dangerous things we've done, yeah, there is the odd accident, and that's why they call it accident. But there also is stupidity and negligence as well. And if that's the case, people should be charged with exactly that, But our record is, pretty amazing.
What I'm noticing now, and I've mentioned this on this podcast before, is that young producers are coming out of school or wherever they come from. I don't care where they come from. They really don't know what they're asking. They don't know how to vet a stunt coordinator or a special effects coordinator. And young people with a really good, sales pitch will go in and bullshit their way into a job because the person that's listening to that bullshit has no idea that that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And everybody goes to work and all they're getting is bullshit. And that's where people
But see, at the end of the day, the film industry started by some kid picking up a camera, or some guy picks up a camera and there was no rules at all. And we slowly had to create them. And today, unfortunately, whether you go to school or not, if you go to school, you might learn a few things about what it means to be on set, maybe, I don't know. But if you don't go to school and you're just starting out, picking up a camera, gathering a few people, how does anyone know? There's no whiteboard that has the rules,
Yeah, but there's a thing called common sense. It seems to be lacking.
Well, yeah, there's a bit of that.
Yeah, so,
I mean, use a bit of that.
You have the technical aspect of it, and then, we're not doing anything new. It's been done before. You're not reinventing the wheel.
No, 100%.
So there's a way of doing things, and if you start reinventing the wheel, like, I'm not saying there's directors out there that want to be unique and great, and some of them are, but most of them aren't. They're just taking it from
totally
someone else's idea and doing that. So, and there's a way of doing things where you get a lot of inexperienced directors wanting to do everything in a oneer. I understand the oneer thing, but a lot of times you break it up because you're cutting it up anyhow, and you don't have to in some cases. And some cases it looks very cool, and if you can do it, then great. If you can't do it, where if it's a chance of not getting it, especially if you're limited budget, so you want to be sure you got it. So you shoot it this way and you got it. You shoot it the other way, you may have to try 3 or 4 times. You have situations where they get people that they pay them $20 an hour and they want them to do all kinds of things that they're not qualified to do. So I mean, and you got to listen to the pros. And Randy's right. Bullshit baffles brains. I just went through one where I listened to someone bullshit them. They totally loved them and thought they walked on water, and I thought they were an idiot. So I can't come up and say, listen, you've been doing this a long time, and you can bullshit them. That's fine. I don't care. You bullshit them all you want. Just don't bullshit them in front of me, please. And then they get their back up and say, this isn't bullshit. And yeah, it is. And on the day you'll see it's bullshit. And however you get out of that, that's how you get out of it. But don't get me going down that lane. There's a lot of people that are great to work with, and they know their stuff. And it's like, not that it's a no-brainer. It's such a pleasure to work with them that, they know their job, you know your job, and you can help them as a team effort to do it. Because you got to think, the director's always fighting for his vision, money, time, every department. You don't want to be part of his problem. You want to be part of the solution. And that always feels good. And that's why I do a lot of, I do 4 or 5 freebies a year. I do lots of independent because it's like making film. And I also could go out and do a lot of big union shows, get a big paycheck, but, it's not the same thing. You're not actual filmmaking. I prefer going out with a bunch of people that are enthusiastic about what they're doing.
Well, with the project.
Yeah, exactly. But when you run into people, and this is a big problem now, or has been for a while, but people know more about their entitlements than they know about their job. I got hired to do, in a certain union, I used to get hired to do the dangerous stuff, and if it works, they get the credit. If it doesn't work, I get the blame, kind of thing. I didn't care. I'd go out and do it. But I had people that were, quote, in their category that didn't know how to work a drill. I had one guy that didn't know how to mix sand and water, and I needed to pack some orders with some sand and water, and I said, go make me some wet sand, right? And after about 20 minutes, I'm wondering, where the fuck is this guy? So I walk over, and he's got a 5-gallon bucket. He's got water on top of the sand. He's trying to stir it, and the water won't go in. And I looked at him, like I said, are you fucking with me? Like, are you serious? I said, get the fuck out of here. You can't talk to me like that. I have more seniority than you, and maybe, whatever. And I go over and I pack all the bombs with the thing, and I'm thinking, holy fuck. That's weird. But there was a guy up from the big studios, and he was kind of watching this, and he put tape around where myself and a guy that works with me was, and ordered all the 6 or 8 effects guys that the union set out. Don't cross this line. So I ended up doing the whole thing myself. All the windows, 3 cars blow up, and it went fine. But you can't have someone that knows more about their entitlements. So they should learn their job, and that's the real thing. And if you spot that, it's like on the day, if you're doing something kind of big, you can't afford to teach them and watch them the whole time. So you want to get people that you can trust, even if it's one. I don't need 6. I need one that knows what they're doing and I can trust,
And that one could be Luke, huh?
It could be anyone, yeah.
Not Luke?
Could be you.
I don't want to be.
Well, I guess it's not Luke.
I don't know how to mix sand and water.
Use the force, Luke. So, I don't know. We're probably all over the place here.
Well, whatever.
No, it's great.
Yeah, I like it. We're just talking about movies and stuff. That's it.
So you lit Andrew on fire a while back.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. No, it
Thanks
looked
for doing
great.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish somebody had told me it was going to happen, but I appreciate it.
Nothing wrong with surprise.
Yeah, sneak up.
Yeah, and use some new stuff on you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
In the old days, they used to use, contact cement, vicious fumes from it, and it burns really hot. So what I use now is a thing called Bentone, and I'll give you guys a bucket. And basically, Bentone's sort of the main base for makeup. You can ask Randy for his base makeup.
That's why I look like this.
You're gorgeous.
I don't forget what when you powder yourself.
Sure.
You
The
sure?
white stuff.
Well, I think it's
No?
brown.
No.
Anyways, I
Oh,
mix
fuck, I
that
don't
with some kerosene, and it's kind of really weird stuff. And it's like a paste, but it'll burn and stay on vertical. That's why they use the contact cement that we used to call special effects burning gel.
Yeah, you should take the label off the can.
That's right. And then print special effects burning gel.
Oh my God.
And then you don't have to call me that, but my grandmother used to call me Jesus Christ. Where was I? Oh yeah, Bentone. Anyways, that's a very little kerosene and some water and just a little bit of water. But the magic happens when you put about a capful of acetate in it right at the end, and then it gels, so you can actually pick it up and smear it, and it burns fairly cool, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to
To the
special effects
contact
burning
to the
gel.
cement. Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. Now, why do stunt guys have problems with effects, doing stuff like that, and effects have problems with maybe stunts? I don't know if they do, but sometimes stunt guys have, or stunt crews that like to rig and all this shit. What is that? Do you know anything about this? What is
it's more
this?
about ego than anything else. I mean, we all operate on our ego, and it's to what degree.
Right.
I'd rather, if someone knows what they're doing and, work together, get it done, and it looks great. As soon as you get into people like, I was telling you about Trailer Park Boys when, the stunt guys got all pissy and walked off, and then it came to me and said, "Can you do it?" I said, "Sure."
Right.
I didn't want to do it, but
What
that
happened
wasn't
there?
the plan.
What happened there?
No, there was a gag that had to be done, and stunt guys bagged off.
Why? Just
Because they
can we
didn't
not
think they
talk
could
about
pull
this?
it off.
Yeah.
And the producer is...
for real? Oh, fuck.
and the producer is a little unforgiving. Plus, he likes me. He just thinks I'm off the wall, so...
We know you are.
Yeah, there you go. And anyways, pulled it off first thing. And the whole thing was just a big argument right from the beginning. They didn't like, the spider crane I put in set. And I said, okay, we're in the middle of an arena. What would you have done? Torn down the building and built scaffolding or something? And the seats are on an angle and everything else? Spider crane's the perfect solution. And at $700 an hour, it was, so. And it got into places nothing else could get into. Then they ordered all this crap up from special places in Toronto, LA, and Timbuktu or whatever, and none of the shit was worth the half of it got there after the stunt was done, that kind of, but they kept it. So it was that kind of crew. So when you're dealing with them, you can either get pissed off and, tell them what you think, or just walk away, do your own thing, and, just let them, bullshit their way through it. But then they walked away from it, and, it was a big gag. It was the gag. And they were only going to do part of it. They couldn't do the other half of it. And I just thought, this is simple. Keep it simple, So I drilled some holes, put some wire in, ran it up his pants, threw him out the window. He turned around, and it worked out perfect. And his boots were still standing where he got pushed out because I screwed them to the floor. You can't screw to the floor. Yes, I can.
Watch this.
I mean, I've heard some stunt guys say, well, if the rigger has done this before because he's a stunt guy, then we all understand it evenly or something, or, they know this stunt guy, so they have some trust or something.
Yeah,
But then the squib and the explosion gag comes up, and it's not stunts anymore doing it. It's you. Where now my trust?
Yeah.
Where's
Well,
it
the
going?
thing is,
That's a good
It
point.
seems
you know,
like
Randy knows squibs and guns, so you talk to him on the same level. If they don't know anything about it, all of a sudden, and I just ran into this where, I said use a half grain dust hit, cut the clothing, then you don't have to do the re-wardrobe, and there's lots of padding there. I mean, you can put it on your forehead and do it, and
Sure.
that kind of thing. But all of a sudden, it gets misunderstood where I'm shooting them with a Zerk gun or something, and I'm thinking, where'd you come up with that? It's them not understanding the.
What goes into this process?
The terminology, or
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
ever
But
had
at the
it.
very least, the
Yeah.
stunt
They may
coordinator
have never
should
had it
understand
done to
something.
them, or yeah.
Yeah, because I think you know what I'm talking about. And if production's there and you're bullshitting them that you know everything, but you don't know what I'm talking about, all of a sudden, I know you're
Not.
ill-educated about it.
Totally.
And you should ask, but you're too proud to ask in front of production. And production thinks you walk on water. Well, actually, you don't. I don't know anything about what you do, in as much as I'd go and do it. So I'd ask you, you should ask me. And
For
I'll explain
sure.
to you exactly what it is, and I'll even show you. I have no problem with that. But as soon as you start bullshitting, then everyone gets their back up, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, or it's past the buck time, like they did with, the gag out the window in Trailer Park Boys. So yeah, it's something that, like, come to me privately. Like, usually what I say to a bullshitter like that is, and I have said it actually recently, you can bullshit production all you want. I don't care. It's not my business. Just don't bullshit them in front of me, because I'll tell them the truth, whether they like it or not, or,
Yeah.
and then you look dumb, and then you got to come and say, I'm a bad guy or something like that. When in actual fact, I know about effects. I know about guns, and I don't claim to know everything you know. I've seen lots of it done, and I know what's safe, and I know pretty much what's not safe. Like, don't do that. Ask me how I know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, if you're honest like that, but they're more into their ego, and production thinks they walk on water. In actual fact, what happens is, as you get through the show, if as production learns, or whether it's the director, DOP, or the PM or anything else, if they're worth their salt, they'll figure out that this person was bullshitting them, and they can get bigger bang for the buck. If you have someone that's experienced, even if they're more money, they take a lot less time. None of that. You get the shot because they know the way around it. Randy and I have done lots of gags where, I've walked away and been totally amazed, and I'm sure he has too, that we put it together and it was simple, direct, and they go off and start talking about, something else, and you think, you should get a hand for what you did pulled off. Well, they don't recognize that for what it is. I did a gag with
That happens all the time.
stunt guy one time where I set up a button, the stunt guy, on the drive to blow his wheel, and he crashes into a tree, right? And pretty simple, Tire blows, you steer into the tree, right? Well, he wasn't comfortable pushing the button. He was comfortable with having a $5,000 seat, a neck brace, and a helmet, right? And he says, I got to concentrate and hold the wheel. You push the button. Oh, the button's on the wheel. So I ripped that off, took the back seat out, and I'm sitting on a piece of steel, my ass, on a blanket, like a sound blanket, with a battery between my legs when he's driving. And then he tells me when to blow the tire. So boom, I blow the tire. And he goes off the road, hits the tree, and I got acid on me. My pants are being eaten. I get up and pour water on them, type thing. I get it. And as he gets out of the car, they're all clapping and making a big deal of it. And I'm looking at myself, and my ass hurts because I sat on, like I was sitting on a bolt, on the bottom of the seat with a battery between my legs to hit the thing. And I think, you just got probably thousands and thousands. There's something wrong with this picture.
That is 100%, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, later we're going to discuss this driver.
Yeah. Well, you know him.
Oh, I bet I do. That's hilarious.
So yeah, it's and those things are funny, and it's on the day he didn't want to do it. Like, we're ready to go. And he's got $10,000 worth of neck braces, and he's got the bungee for the helmet and the seat and the roll bar, everything. And I'm thinking,
He must not have known what a blown tire might do or something. I've blown enough tires to know. I have good speeds too. But, when you got the experience
I have seen
hitting
it.
a button and steering, I guess.
I have seen it. We're in a car chase, and they stick the special effects guy with the smoker
yeah, that's right.
in under a tarp in the back of a truck.
Yeah.
And we're all going like this, and the special effects guy's in
Expendable.
his truck.
yeah, no doubt.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
But a lot of times you do it to save the shot.
100%. No,
It's
that's
like, okay, let's get this done.
it's a team effort. Let's get the movie made.
Yeah.
And I like the driver. He's full of shit, but I like him all the
Sure.
time. And he knows I know he's full of shit. But he's a good driver.
Yeah.
He's an
Okay.
excellent driver.
That's hilarious.
all right.
That's probably not the guy I'm thinking then. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I threw out my list. No.
So how long you been doing this now?
Since the 70s, so 10 years.
Yeah. You good at math?
What's math?
Yeah, totally.
I guess I started in 77, 78, something like that. The first time I got into it was like 73. That's when I sort of got in and got out and thought, something wrong with these people. Yeah.
So the thing
go to
that
the Caribbean.
the thing that you mentioned Frenchie on, John, the was that you went out to help with guns? Is that what that was?
Guns and explosions as well, because he was doing props, guns, and effects. I think
Oh, really?
Gary,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he used to be a props master.
So what is now separate departments was sort of a bit of a compile.
Yeah, I think with the shows he was doing.
Yeah, that's,
can you
I
do
remember that now.
Okay. That makes sense.
I did a show where I did effects, guns, props, set deck, and something else. They'd lost $700,000. They had a big name actor, and they had to reshoot it type thing. And they came up to me and says, "Can you handle these departments?" And I said, "Well," he says, "We'll give you an executive producer credit." No, like I give a shit. So I had a dog named Ezra that would eat anything, and I mean anything. And I said, "If you make Ezra the executive producer, I'll do it." And he just was total silence. He went, "What do you mean, your dog?" And I said, "Yeah." "Oh, that's what I want. You want me to do this? You've got to do this for me." So he said he would. I'm not so sure about him doing it. But yeah, sometimes you do the whole thing because, the show's going down.
Yeah.
It was a $2 million show. They lost $700,000.
Yeah.
And said, "Can we do it?" "Well, sure. I mean, why not?
So
Just shoot it in 10 days,
You and I were speaking of doing guns and stuff. We did Mackie's show. You were up there doing special effects, and you also handled the firearms, and you had your daughter, Jamie, who's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, she's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay away from her.
Hey, man, I just said she was cool.
Yeah. I'm not even saying.
I used to show her potential boyfriends like some footage of mine
Your gun cases.
and say, which part of your body would you least like to lose? And after a while, they just ignored me.
Yeah, no, but she's amazing.
Yeah, she's good. She's fastidious. She talks back.
Yeah, well, you probably deserve it, and she gets it honestly. I'll tell you straight up. But now, you know, her confidence and her knowledge, and the way she controls her crew, is awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with her. The but what I was going to say is, with regard to guns, you're developing something new. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Tell Andrew. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. So, because of all the attitudes towards guns and blanks, live blanks, even though we've been doing it a million years and everything else, so I sort of came up with an idea of, and I've been thinking about it for a while actually, where we use a light effect in the front of the gun. So think of the end of the barrel kind of thing, whether it's you know, muzzle brake or silencer, or you know, whatever the deal is, and also a light that points back. So think of a really hot white light front and back, and then a bit of a red, and something that flashes real hard and then fades, almost like a gunshot. But the trick is to, because in daylight it doesn't show very well and looks like a flashlight or whatever, and at night, similar idea. But if you use gas or some kind of particles, you can actually get what looks like a
Muzzle flash.
muzzle flash. And then you got the backlight. So in the mind's eye, I mean, as long as you're, you know, not totally focused on it, if it's particularly if it's you know, medium shot or a profile and that, you can make it look like actual gunshots. There's no sound to it. There's no.
But is this Is this happening while someone's pulling the trigger?
Yeah.
Is that on?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you have a momentary trigger, a momentary button behind the trigger. So every time they initiate it, the slide goes back and forth, pumps out the gas, and the light lights the gas. So you use a combination of reflective and light absorbing gas, like you could use any kind of sulfate or most gases are, like in green gas, for instance, is a propane propellant, and then you have the CO2 thing. So both CO2 actually reflects light as well. You can also add water to it that enhances the look, particularly in the daytime, because you got to see something, right?
You'd mentioned a particulate that you put in.
You can use a particulate as well. You know, things like aluminum dust, you know, any even tinfoil or whatever, but very minute amounts and in a particular shape. So you'd have, you know, a round flash, let's say 6 inches, 5 inches, and then a point. So you'd have a nozzle, you know, made by Brooks or something like that, that you'd punch that out every time the trigger went with the gas that operates the slide, right?
And it would extend out, it extends out beyond the barrel, and it's just a light bulb. It's
that's
LED
wild.
light going through the particulate.
And so you've done this.
Yeah, I've done most of it. I'm having the prototypes done probably next week, because what I did it with larger lights, but what I want to do is get the smallest light possible so I can modify the end of the gun, the barrel, let's say, and use usually either airsoft guns or CO2 guns that have their action already built in. I'll build them in real guns after this, but I want to develop something that can be used by, quote, prop people to do that.
Sure.
Yeah, so
wow.
You can put your hand in front of it, or
it's pretty neat because you can be right here, and then when you pull the trigger and the muzzle flashes, it also has a light that flashes back onto your face, because if you were in darkness, that muzzle flash would light you too. It's a pretty neat concept. You showed me some videos. It's pretty neat.
And then after that, because I've got a few guns, right? So what I'm going to do is after that modify the real guns, so we have the same system. Use the gas blowback or retarded gas blowback, or not so much direct recoil because that's difficult to accomplish with the amount of gas because you get lots of leakage out through the slide itself. But then have them chamber into a special barrel I'll build or a receiver. So you'd load up your magazine with empty cartridges, like let's say 9 mil.
Okay.
It'd function. So it'd chamber as the gas blowback goes back and forth. It'd chamber the round, and as it came out, you extract it and you eject the ring. So now you have a gun that does the light front and back, and
As well as
the shell's
extracting
coming
the
out.
shell. Yeah.
and you have a real gun that's camera friendly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not going to look inside the gun. So,
Right.
Wow.
It's brilliant. It's a great idea. I want to invest in this company now.
Yeah. So all you're saying is that it lacks a little bit of recoil, but other than that, it's basically
yeah, well, you don't get recoil because
there's no
bullet.
boom. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get the recoil from the slide, and so the slide indexing back and forth, you know, like an airsoft gun. So you know, it's fairly realistic. I mean, in the rifles, you won't get the same movement because it's just the bolt that's sliding back and forth, as opposed to the whole slide.
But we have to train actors how to
Yeah.
react to that anyway.
Yeah. Wow, man, that sounds wild.
Yeah,
And
well.
a lot less expensive.
Yeah, I don't know about that now.
Well, isn't it less expensive
It'd be
because
an
you're not
expensive
using
process.
ammunition? You're not using
Blanks?
ammunition. Yeah, there's no blanks.
Yeah, but
And then you're not using CGI to put in a whole bunch of muzzle flashes
Oh,
or,
yeah.
or whatever,
Or the shells ejecting.
and the light on someone's face and all that other stuff.
yeah, it needs some refining.
Maybe.
But I mean, the first or second generation will be good for, you know, like shooting at certain angles and then shoot certain light, and then I'll develop it from there. The
Sure.
ejection of the shells and stuff, that's down the road because that's once
Everything
you got the
takes
light and the technique down pat, and then you go to the real thing. So you can get, you know, unusual guns. You could do a Sten gun, or you know, a Lewis gun, you know, that kind of thing. And the idea would be to take the real, you know, frame, take the barrel out, take the guts out, and then actually 3D the parts we need inside, so it fits into all Sten guns, or it'll fit into all MP5s. So if someone has an MP5, or the other approach would be to not modify the real gun that much, but have a piece that modifies it on the outside, so it just fits flat, and then a wire comes down, and then you have a module thing stick in your pocket in your back, so you can operate boom, boom, boom that gun, take it off, put it on another gun immediately, as opposed to, you know, because you have directors that you'll show them 20 guns, they won't like any of them. He'll show you a picture of some gun he likes, so you're getting that gun in to, you know, do that one thing. So having it, you know, modified that you could maybe not shoot it this way, but the camera's this way. They don't
Sure.
see any of the modifications, even though it does the same thing. And then the power pack or whatever you have goes in the guy's pocket like a clunker box, or, you know, something like that.
Wow, that is actually really
Yeah,
cool.
it's crazy, eh?
Wow, yeah, I would like to see this.
Me too.
Yeah,
Well, as soon as I got it built, I'll drop one over and
Yeah.
you can.
that'd be
take it-
awesome.
take
Yeah,
it-
I'd love to
take it
see
downtown,
Yeah,
scare
go,
people.
yeah, go downtown there.
Yeah, so I mean, even shows like you know, John Wick, for instance, you'd modify the real guns to do that. It'd work great because generally it's low light, so the light's gonna come up good, and you make it where it does everything you want it to do. And in some cases, you may not need the ejection. It may be just, you know, close up, bang, and, you know, moves on.
Sure.
But if you need that, you know, like you know, the shot where you're shooting and the shells are coming out, it's a little slow-mo, and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, John Wick didn't need it in the first one to sell millions and millions of tickets, you know. But people eventually caught on, and then John Wick 2, they added that.
Yeah.
So I think it was John Wick, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
So
it's kind of a worthwhile to go down that route, especially with
what's going on in the
the
world today?
attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done a couple shows now that there's no firearms allowed.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Like,
the
no real firearm.
Wasn't the Schwarzenegger one in Toronto the last one to have any any blanks or something like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's going to come down to individual shows.
Yeah.
Individual insurance packages. that
Yeah,
allow-
but these individual shows all work for the same studio execs and all
some-
that stuff.
No, I mean, I do lots where I just did one about 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh,
This
really?
Director and the producer said to me, I don't give a shit about that. Get me some blanks in here.
Yeah.
I
Make
mean,
it
blanks
real.
aren't illegal, so.
Yeah, they're not illegal. Yeah, totally.
But most shows don't feel comfortable, because most people don't like guns, period. You ask the average
It's
person,
political
say,
mostly.
ban them,
They're just
Yeah.
they're ignorant and they don't know.
Yeah. But even, if you talk to a pistol shooter, he hates small bore shooters.
Yeah, yeah.
It's even within
This
that.
world just can't stop complaining. Is
Yeah.
what it is. Nobody's willing to understand anything.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't know that. Okay, if you take what it's supposed to be as public safety, it has nothing to do with public safety as far as the gun laws are concerned, because you're actually putting the law-abiding citizens obey them. I'm going to give you a little secret: criminals break the law. That's why they're called criminals. So they do
Okay.
criminal things.
Interesting.
90% of the guns, in the beginning I created heaven and earth, and a day was out, sunshine was like night. The criminals don't care. How are you doing anything for public safety by having law-abiding citizens that already have a license, that have already gone through everything to have what they have? How is that going to do anything for public safety? You have 90% of the guns that come up from the States, and they busted a woman in Quebec. She was flying guns over with a drone and stuff, and she got nailed. And she says, I get $1,500 a month from the government. I'm eating Alpo, and I get $5,000 each for one of these guns I bring in. So what would you do? So
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck.
So you
yeah.
gotta-
Just a second. We own
Did-
drones.
yeah.
Let's do it, man.
But I mean,
New project.
if you're doing something about public safety, then do something about public safety.
Totally.
The thing is, the people that whether it be Trudeau or his father even, that they just don't like guns. Period. They don't like the idea that people have them, even though they follow all the rules to have them. They can pass as many laws as they want. The criminals won't abide by those laws.
Well, it does seem like it's a kind of a international. I just had the word, but it's like an international thing now. It doesn't feel like it's just Canada or just Trudeau or whatever. It seems like everyone, even in America, they're like. I mean, America's a lot. They got a bigger pile of guns to dissolve, but it kind of feels like they're doing it there too, and
They want to.
just
Somewhere.
Yeah,
they
but
want to. Yeah.
Yeah, and there should be regulations. There are. They don't have regulations in the States. You can be mentally unstable and go buy yourself a AR-15.
I know. I
And
love.
not only
That's
that,
why people love the states.
if you get it confiscated from you, as soon as you're out, they give your gun back to you. The guy came in from Alaska, totally freaking out, threatening everyone up there. When he landed the plane, they give him his gun back. Okay. Depending on what state you're in.
But in Canada, I don't, whatever. I'm not the guy who takes down the statistics, but it feels like our rules and regulations are working. We don't have
Well,
the problems that.
No, but they've been working since 1932.
Yeah,
That's how long we've been having.
I
you
know.
have to-
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but now they want to, they banned, handguns, from
Yeah.
changing hands or importing them or anything else. And okay, has the crime rate gone down?
Yeah. Have the bad
If
guys with
anything, it's
handguns
gone
turned
up
them all
right
in?
now.
No.
Yeah.
There's shootings all the time. The thing is, you can't put, like, politicians, they're not really leaders when they do stuff like that. They find a parade and they get in front of it. And that's what they've done. So everyone hates guns, so do we, and this is what we're doing. If we could just save one person, they don't give a shit that 40,000 people here die in, other accidents.
Yeah.
Drugs or booze or anything else. Put it in the healthcare system. Why would we just spend $1 billion registering hunting rifles in Canada? Well, I don't know.
Control.
Yeah, control. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and have a huge bureaucracy. They know how to spend money to make themselves bigger. How about some public safety or, would you work in MacDonald's for $100 or deal in drugs and have guns for 100 times that money?
Yeah, the guns and drugs does sound appealing.
Speaking of that, Max Effects, that would have really look nice with 2 golden arches over it.
That's right.
McDonald's.
Fuck yeah.
Spelled different,
It's a little bit.
Nick.
MacDonald's. Yeah. I like that.
It's just a
McDonald's.
thought.
Yeah, no, it's good.
No, it's Max Effects. Like, that's fucking clever. I do effects, and my name's Max. Like, I mean, where do you go
Wow.
from there?
It didn't even dawn on me.
I know. Well, your stunts.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
yeah,
wicked.
I wasn't thinking about that either, but
If
until you
the
said it, yeah.
if the most common, and correct me if I'm wrong, effect is just simple atmosphere, what is the least common a special effect that is you're called upon to do?
Yeah. Well, there's obviously unique builds,
Yeah.
or one of a kind. But generally, we don't get called to fly people anymore. I sort of turn it down and say, that's stunt, not interested, and get your riggers in. Even though I have a parallelogram. On the Witch, I flew 5 naked witches, one of them 80 years old, upside down through the trees, and I had to be underneath her blowing wind.
What?
I don't want to talk about
Just a second. The trauma
primitive-
right now is
Okay, very primitive birth control. Okay,
okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Through
Did
the
I say
forest.
that on TV?
Through the forest.
You just did.
Okay. Yeah, so that kind of stuff's unusual, but I flew them around. I made a fire tornado, and
Oh, cool, man.
and they flew around it type thing. Won all kinds of awards and stuff. It's called the Witch. I don't know why I should be naming things like that, but
Well, shout out to the Witch. I mean, yeah, it got critical success. I've never seen it personally, but
neither have I.
Yeah,
I saw
neither.
it when I was shooting it, and that was good enough for me.
yeah.
Well, witches don't appeal to me, but now they're naked and flying upside down through the forest.
Through a fiery tornado.
Tornado.
Yeah, well, that's
I
kind
flew
of
them
Sounds
individually. I flew them individually, and I had to put them in different positions, and then, they.
And you did this with a parallelogram?
Yeah, I made my own rails, and flew them all over the place.
Oh,
So
okay.
I made a broom for one, and then one was upside down, and another one was standing. Other one was laying back, and
There's a
So I
lot of
made
jokes
all-
here. You're just setting up tons of jokes.
yeah.
With laying back and broomsticks and all kinds of shit.
But there was stuff. They were nice ladies, but they were real witches, and I didn't realize it's more of a philosophy than
Right, sure.
anything else.
Yeah.
And actually, they all gave me gifts afterwards, like
Crystals,
no, they gave me
Cauldrons.
Eye of Newt.
Black
dream
cat.
catchers, and there's one bag I still have from years ago. I've never opened it up. This is for you. It's from which thing? And I looked at it.
Watch
Ooh, put that underneath the thing.
You look in the bag now. It's probably a
I was going to
puppy.
give it to some stunt guy.
I'll take it.
Oh, you
I'm willing
can
to see
have
what's
it.
in this.
Yeah.
in this bag.
Yeah. Well, she was kind of unusual. She actually lived in Mattawa, and she's a nice, intelligent lady. I don't know that she'd had a happy life or anything, but there was some people in the town that sort of discriminated against her. I met her. I was drinking beer on the street. This was before the show, and I was in the pub type thing, and she came by and eyeball fucked me, and I said, "Yeah, come on over." Like just out of the blue, because everyone was. As soon as she sat down, the locals just stayed away from her type thing, and I thought, this must be interesting. So, but and she was
She
a
was
cool
the
lady.
local witch.
Yeah, she
Wicked.
was the local
In
witch.
Mattawa.
Yeah, in Mattawa, and
It's a nice little town.
yeah, yeah.
It
and,
is. With
yeah.
the
I got
river
along
going
with her
through there?
great. And then when she showed up on set, it was like, "Hey, how you doing?" She trusted me implicitly.
Awesome.
So, it was,
That's cool.
cool. Yeah.
And she gave you a puppy in a bag, and you've never taken it out.
I don't know what's in the bag. I just didn't open it. I thought, nah, some things are best left alone. It's under my desk, though.
Interesting.
I'm interested. Yeah.
Call us.
Should have
when
done a
you-
bag
Call us
opening
when you
right
open
here.
it. Yeah. Should have had a big one.
Well, it doesn't.
Bag open.
Yeah, it doesn't smell like anything. I could get a stunt bag opener.
That's a thought.
Oh,
That's a thought.
that yeah. Dress
Yeah.
in one of those bomb guy. What do you call it?
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, I wore one of
Bomb
those
diffuser
outfits
guys.
one time because the actor chickened out when he saw it, right? And because I did an explosion that blew it back. As when you wear those, if you talk to the bomb guys, they said, "Oh yeah, they protect you depending on the size of the bomb, but you'll never wipe your ass again because your hands are free, right? They come right off." Right?
Yeah.
But in any case, I get into this suit, and it's really heavy, and you can't do anything with it. And the first thing the cop that's there does is push me over, and I can't get up, right? Like in a commercial, I fall over, I can't get up. They're pretty awkward and hot. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I bet.
Like one of them
I
turtles.
finally got up and put Paul in one, right? He complains about everything. It was like excellent. I pushed him over.
That's crazy.
That's awesome, man.
So what are you working on these days right now?
I just finished a thing. I went out east, Halifax, shoot bird shit at everyone. It was a kind of a trailer park boys thing where it's a trades. Birds get mad at them and dive bomb them and shit on them, and they run away type thing and shit all over their cars. So then they came out here to Hamilton to Stelco, and it was supposed to be I guess it's a trade school, and then they take them out and apprentice them. So they needed this big factory and that looked like where they'd work and stuff. And of course, the birds arrive again. The pigeons start shitting on them, shit all over their cars. So I did gallons and gallons of pigeon shit on everyone, and it had to be. I wouldn't say edible, but my stuff was not that you'd want to eat it. So
Right,
mine
but
was
it's not going to make anybody sick.
But the art department made their own, and they wanted me to use theirs, and I wouldn't. Right? I said, I've already made this stuff up. I don't have time for that. But their stuff stained everything. They had to repaint cars and buildings and everything else.
Oh fuck. Actually, who was it that was just talking about? Oh, Joe. You're talking about his guy that he hired.
I
Did you tell
mentioned
Max?
about the Honda, yeah.
That was seriously funny. Well, we won't tell that story on the podcast then. Anyway, people can wonder now and write in, comment.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and then I was doing a thing called Monster something or other. And I guess it's a large bonfire, and then two small fires beside it, and has to go all night. So it's 8 feet
Sounds like a
long.
party.
Yeah. And so it went okay, and it's
Are
kind of a
the,
no-brainer.
And the strikes, we kind of talked about this earlier before the podcast, but the strikes, they're not really affecting you too much.
Not a lot, no. I'm doing, well, Mel actually handles the Hallmark Christmas show. She's doing a couple of them down in Toronto, and then I got a couple of things going up, and then Luke's doing that other show.
Up in Sudbury.
Yeah, Sudbury, yeah. So, yeah. I'd like some time off. Like, I thought with the strike, I was saying, okay, get out of my sailboat and
Oh, wow.
relax for a while, but it's
But
been
no.
kind of nonstop, so.
Yeah, well, that nonstop stuff lends itself to some health issues
Yeah.
sometimes. And you came out and blew up a house trailer on Mayor of Kingstown here, just a few cities away near Brantford. And I was surprised to see you.
Yeah.
You
I was
weren't-
surprised to see me too.
You weren't supposed to be there. So just prior to that, tell us what you might have gone through.
Yeah. I was on my way to, I'm not a real burden on the healthcare system, but to go to the Cayman Islands to do 5 films, I had to get a physical. And I went in and they kind of freaked out because I couldn't lay on my left side. I hadn't been able to do that for years. And I was a heavy smoker. I even drank once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh,
and,
I wouldn't have guessed
no.
with that beard.
In any case, doctor came in and said, you have to go to the hospital right away. And this is in COVID as well. So, any case, make a long story short, they found that I needed 5 bypasses. The Widowmaker, out of the aorta, was 99% blocked. Something wrong with the valve, and then 4 other ones were 95% blocked, so I was okay there. And in any case, they opened me up for about 8 hours.
Yeah, but tell them about the monitor and inviting everybody over.
Oh yeah, they did this ultrasound for about an hour, and they kept calling people over and look at this, and then they'd watch, and nothing had happened for a couple of heartbeats, and all of a sudden, just a squirt had come out, and I guess that was.
It was so plugged. It would go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
my
They showed
God.
me. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, that's the Widowmaker." And I thought, I love that name, And
That's funny.
yeah, and so in case the doctor came and said, "You got to sign this. We need to operate."
Like now.
Yeah, like
Holy
within a
fuck.
couple of days. And he said, and it says there, he says there's a 10% chance you won't make it. You mean I'll die? And I says, yes, yeah, you could die. Type. And I was just fucking with him, right? And I said to him, have you done this before? And he was head of surgery at McMaster. And he looked at me and says, yeah, I watched the YouTube. And I said, did you watch the whole thing? He says, well, I watched most of it type thing. In any case, you got to sign here. And I said, well, I'm not, my biggest fear about dying and going to heaven is I won't know anyone. And that he just fucking busted right up, right? And so, in any case, on the way into the operating table, I had this guy and a girl, they're rolling me in and saying, how you feel and everything else. And I'm thinking, what do you mean, how do I feel? I feel like I'm getting rolled in.
Did you not see the
cut
chart?
up, right? And he says, you are, MacDonald and everything else. And I said, well, I can't tell for sure because I've heard that people get switched at birth, so I may actually be someone else type thing. Fucking hell! And I got in there, and after I got it, I was like totally out of it for a few days. Right, it'd be 8 hours on the operating table, and this one nurse, cute as hell, kept coming up to me. He says, "Do you remember me?" And then I had to make something up. I said, yeah, you're the one that asked me to marry you type thing. No, you said I had nice tits. And I said, I guess I was out of it and looking at her, So I wasn't, my sensitivity training probably didn't come through the
carry
anesthetic
through.
very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was bizarre. In any case, ended up with a staph infection. The guy next to me died from it and blah, blah, blah. But in any case, I get out and I'm in really rough shape. I take 10 steps and I got a rest for 2 days. It was like...
Wow. What
they,
the fuck? And hold
that
on, did
was,
I get something wrong, or you just went in for a physical?
Yeah. Because I hadn't been to the doctor in 22 years or something. And the last time I went to the doctor, I booked an appointment, right? And when I got in there, and the doctor said to me, and he's my doctor, and he says, what are you doing here? I said, well, you're my doctor. I thought I'd get a checkup. He says, we had to go in the basement and go through like 22 years of files to find your name all covered in dust. Why are you here? And I said, for a checkup, type thing. He says, what are you kidding? He says, you're a real burden on the healthcare system, So anyways, I get out, and before I went in, I made a promise that I'd blow up this trailer on Mayor of Kingstown, right? And I usually keep my promises, right? So in any case, I'm in bed for about 2 weeks in rough shape, right? And I tell you, like, even go to the bathroom was a...
He was split open from here to here, and his whole chest opened up.
And both my legs opened up, right? So in any case,
What?
they phoned me, and he keeps phoning me about, blowing up this trailer. I said, you should get someone else, or I'll tell you how to do it, or use my guys, or whatever. He says, no, you... Okay, so I think 2.5 weeks out of the hospital, or 3 weeks, I'm not supposed to drive or, do
Operate
gymnastics
stuff.
or whatever.
Yeah,
You know? And so I said, okay, I'll do it. To see, I can't pick up anything, and I can't walk very far. So you have the guys there, and I just tortured them. They were like, you know, this particular effects company got a lot of work, but you know, like, I mean, just not a lot of talent there, you know.
Right.
And any case, so when I go to get in the car or my truck type thing, because I'd been going to get my leg looked at and you know, the chest looked at, and Mel freaks out at me, you know, saying you're not supposed to drive, blah blah blah. So I guess I get guys over to get all my explosives and all the mortars there, and this company that hired me send their guys over, right, and they're, you know, real wussies. So I get the biggest, heaviest mortars I got and point to them, and two of them can barely lift up one. And I tell them I usually take two at a time, one in each hand type thing, and they don't know any better. So you know, in any case, I get them there. But when I go, I have to put a like a flat pillow on, and then two ratchet straps, because every time I walk, my chest goes,
Oh,
and the
what?
wires stick in me because they got like wires holding the bones together.
Oh,
So I
that's
guess I get in
cool.
the truck, I get there, and I get it all rigged and everything else. And the I won't get into the backstory about the effects guy they have there. Put it this way, his boss, the director says to him, if you come on set, I'm going to have you arrested. And you, like, everything he did looked like a forest fire. Like when it came to smoke, he couldn't do anything. And it was like totally bizarre. And this director, you know, with the whip or the lasso, you know, he goes out and practices lassoing and stuff. And he comes up to me and, like, basically, I don't give a shit. I'm taking handfuls of painkillers around. And he says, is this going to be just the usual? I said, I don't do just the usual. I do the endothermic reticulum, or, you know, some stupid fucking thing. I said to him, and you were there actually.
I was standing right there.
Yeah.
And any case, he wants me to come and stand with him at the monitor, and I said, no, I have a bunch of guys here. I'm rigging stuff up, and I'm gonna watch them. That's my job, right? You get over here at the monitor. Well, then the quote effects guy that they tried to get rid of or replace kept getting on the stepping on the walkie, and he ends up going there. And then on the walkie, I can hear the director, "Get the fuck away from me!" You know, blah blah. You're not. So, anyways, ended up blowing up. They loved it, and I told everyone that was going to happen, and it happened just like I said. No way. You know,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
yeah.
it was good.
Yeah, fucking boom. And then it took me forever. I just checked to make sure everything went off. Oh, and there was a last minute glitch where the actor had to go in the door that was all rigged with explosives.
Right.
It was like,
He had to come outside.
yeah, he's go in and out. Can you do that? I said, sure. I walked in, cut all the wires, go ahead. Nothing's going to happen here. But I mean, there was so much shit in there that, you know, it would have went anyhow.
Yeah.
And they loved it. And then they phoned me afterward to come back, and, you know, Jordan, whatever the PM or line producer's name was.
Oh, yeah, Jordan.
You got to, you know, come back and do this. And I'm just thinking to myself, I just hope I can make it to the truck. And on the way back to the truck, I was arrested about 5 times and sat down on a bench, and I was just going to go to sleep. Then I got back. And my chest still kind of clicks because I didn't let it really heal properly. But
Like I'd heard, I know what he's doing. I knew about the operation. And the next thing you know, he's at work. And I'm, what the hell are you doing here?
But it was a good
Jeez,
explosion.
man.
It was a great explosion. As a matter of
In
fact,
the
and
end
if
of
I
the
can
day,
use the
that's all that
footage on this podcast, I'll put it on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll send you some of the D-Day to Victory stuff. Or look it up on Vimeo under D-Day to Victory.
Yeah, anybody
Jeremy
can look it up
Benning.
on Vimeo.
Yeah.
Jeremy
D-Day to
Benning.
Victory. Yeah, yeah. Vimeo.
You know, and everything you see there is real. There's nothing
Special
Hollywood
effect
about it.
Yeah.
Except one shot. I think it's the 1919 where you see the blanks coming up. They're
Okay.
actual blanks as opposed to all the other guns are real. When you see me shooting the Sten gun, just remember I was aiming for the eggs. Shot everything else but the eggs. Because they had a big camera on top, right? So,
It's funny.
Now, every guy getting into the business, when you get into stuff like special effects, you think, I want to get into some badass shit. you know, and you think I'm gonna have fun. I get to work in movies. I get to blow things up, light things on fire, whatever the hell, you know. Do you still get stoked about anything, or
Oh,
did
yeah,
yeah,
for sure, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, not a lot. I mean, and I tell my guys this a lot of times, you know, they'll be hauling ass and they'll be up to their ass and alligators, the bugs will be eating them, and, you know, it goes on and on. I say, how do you like a peck so far? You know,
for
there's
sure.
a lot of things we do that aren't that exciting.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
when
Yeah.
you get into the exciting, that's why I let my guys go on the board, push the button. You know, you do that.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's,
if you're in IA, it's like you'll be doing smoke for 20 years until the guy dies, and then you can move up.
Yes.
And, you know, that kind of
Yes.
shit. So you never really learn, and that you don't get talented people that way. I got, and most of the guys that work for me, you know, when they apply for IA, they say, "You work for Max?" They let them in immediately because they're very well trained.
and well-rounded.
Well, it's like giving a kid a nice guitar versus a piece of shit. It's not very inspiring to pick up a piece of shit. Now I just don't want to be a band member anymore. You know, I'll just go back to my shitty job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that. That's awesome.
And people are surprised. I've, you know, we all have prejudice. It was out east, for instance, and this girl could barely do anything I had said. And of course, I think everyone knows what I'm talking about because you know.
I got about half of it today.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, me
any
too.
case,
Yeah.
she turned out to be because I didn't know how to use her, and I had to use local talent. So she had to shoot a paintball gun that I'd fill the paintballs with bird shit, right, or the stuff I was using. And I said, "Okay, can you hit that wall?" And the first couple of shots, she almost missed the wall. After about 5 minutes, she could hit anything I said and repeated like bang, 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 hit over there, go inside the window of that truck, boom, 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 boom. And it was like natural talent, like guys that have been shooting Zerk guns or whatever
Dang.
for years couldn't match her. And I'd pick different stuff out all over the place, and you do this as fast as you can. She'd just go boom, 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 boom,
Oh,
boom,
good
boom,
for
boom.
her.
And it was like, woo. So she was the bird shit queen for the door.
That's a good nickname. That'd be a good nickname
She
to
had
have.
good credit on film.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you never know. You shouldn't sell people short. You know, some people
Totally.
prove themselves to be, you know, not talented in certain ways, and other ways, like I wouldn't trust her to, you know, work on, you know, some stuff like
Yeah.
construction or anything, but hit that thing or push that button, and her timing was dead on because she just whatever it was, she focused on that and boom, got it. So,
Wow.
and she knew nothing about effects. So, you know, you run into something like that. That's a talent that's worth, or an ability that's worth, you know, promoting and.
Absolutely.
yeah,
taking it
yeah.
forward.
And
Now, most people, most special effects people I know are so well versed in so many disciplines: welding, engineering, building, painting, whatever. You guys create things that are absolutely mind blowing. When you told me about your bird shit concoction, how the hell do you come up with that? Like, you're not going to go to the internet and say, "How do you make bird
No,
shit?"
but over the years, you figure one, it's got to be safe for human, and generally that means human consumption, or you can eat it, you're not going to die, or if you got it in, you know, your eye or up your nose or in your mouth, that kind of thing, then you don't want it to damage any of the materials, because put a dent in a building or a dent in a car,
Right.
it's a big problem. So it's a process of elimination, and then you get it down to, you know, methacil they put in food, make it as thick as you want. Kids coloring paint, tempera paint, it's you know, non-toxic and wipes off the water and stuff. So if you can put that combination together, again, keeping it simple, you know, white, yellow, and methacil, you know, and away you go.
There's your bird shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
wow.
So if you can keep it simple, whereas, you know, the production designer wanted to make it, you know, piece of art, and it's one thing to look at it, and then what does it do? And if you shoot it at 300 feet a second, it dints, and when it dries, it crystallizes with the sugars and and when you mix two things that react to one another, whether it's aluminum and steel, and you get corrosion, or you get baking soda, sugar, and whatever liquid you're using, all of a sudden you have a caustic concoction. So you want to make everything, I wouldn't say edible, but certainly even my snow, it's starch. You can eat it because the rats eat it, and the mice eat it, and the birds eat it, and so it's it looks good and it works, and it's environmentally friendly. I'm developing a snow blanket. We don't do anything with Ontario wool, for instance. It just sits in barns. I know a guy that's got 50 tons of it sitting in his barn, right? And they don't do anything with it because it's $10 a pound now. So they have to shave the sheep, and they put it away, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm working on a deal where this old mill open up if I get enough and make snow blankets for me. So snow blankets are biodegradable. Not only that, after you use them, because the polyester goes in the dump and it biodegrades in 700 years, right? And we use like lots of it, so.
Yeah, we used it the other night.
Yeah. So with the wool, what you can do as well, and I'm talking to a guy now, so I use it as a blanket, whether I can reconstitute it or not. It is biodegradable. Then I thought, well, just letting it rot's no good. But what they're doing now, because they're kind of desperate to get rid of, there's hundreds or thousands of tons around sitting in, barns or warehouses, is to make it into pellets. So you can inoculate the pellets with, if you want, like urea, or just leave them as pellets. Because when they biodegrade, they have all kinds of essential minerals in them that can be biodegraded, in 6 months or your growing season. So you can spread it as a fertilizer.
Wow.
So, and if you inoculate it, then it's easy to distribute, biodegradable, and it can release, instead of using clays and stuff, you can use them as time-released fertilizer.
Wow.
Jeez, man.
That had nothing to do with special effects.
No, but I mean, it is and not.
No,
I mean,
I'm kidding.
Doing the snow blanket that's biodegradable.
No, that's awesome.
Environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
The other thing is you're capturing a lot of carbon as well, as opposed to making, the oil-based Dacron and shit like that.
Stuff we use now.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to say something. I mean, if you look back many, many years in film, let's say, and you are that guy just picking up a camera and trying to put together a crew, you're the kind of guy that somebody would just walk up to and say, we need you to do our effects because you tinker with shit and create shit and whatever.
So you think I'm a shit squeezer?
Tinker. Sound like it.
Oh, tinker. Okay.
Tinker.
Shit tinker.
Shit tinker. You never heard of that one.
I don't know.
There's a T-shirt
Shit
coming.
tinker.
I know.
Yeah.
A mug.
Oh, right underneath the logo there.
Shit tinker.
That'd be cool. Yeah, and I imagine that the first few stunt guys were just guys that like to get into shit,
cowboys
and
just
fuck
want to
around,
jump off a horse.
Yeah, just want to get rowdy, whatever. Nowadays, it's like parkour. They don't. It's not the falling down and the getting messy thing.
It's latte in the car.
I imagine that's similar though in your business. That you want a guy. I think it's like, to me, you're like the guy that we'd go to if we needed that, rather than the guy that came to us because he's interested.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that one.
I don't even know if
I don't even know if it was a question. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, new guys, they come in. Do you look for somebody like that? Somebody that just fucks around with shit and likes to. That's where their interest lies.
Yes
more than
and no. I think
movies.
You do that. If you're desperate for people, you take that. But if you're really looking for someone, you're looking for someone that'll stick with it and learn as they go along and have the right attitude, I guess. It's not getting a cowboy in and let's do boom, 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 boom.
Right.
It's smoke is as important as anything else, and caring about, what the DOP wants, or working with others, and having the ability to be flexible. You don't have to be an expert in everything, and I don't expect that. Right? What I do expect is you do the best job you can with what you have.
But that curiosity does help, right?
big time.
Somebody who's really interested in what's going
But
on.
you just
here.
got to watch sort of and some of the cowboys do okay because they sell that idea that, we're living on the edge. We're not taking up too much room kind of shit. Well, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but can you come through with what you say,
Right.
And in certain cases, they do because the qualifications aren't that great. But when they comes right down to it and you watch them do something that's they should ask advice for, and it's kind of beyond their abilities, but they go ahead and do it anyhow, that's usually when the accidents happen or the mishaps or it's someone else's fault, and, that kind of crap. Where it should be pretty simple. It's a step-by-step process, and if you don't know, ask. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And that's what always amazes me is that someone will try and make something of effect or a stunt that it's been done before, and it has to be, and there's a reason it was done that way, whether it be safety or it works, the other, it doesn't work, and, and it's not worth taking the chance, if you're playing the percentages, there's always a percentage where it doesn't work or there's an injury or, whatever it is, but you want the longest odds possible. Things don't happen in numerical order, but you can certainly cover all your bases, to make it 1,000,000 to 1, not 1,000 to 1, that kind of thing.
Interesting. Have things like CGI taken away any job from you?
Oh yeah, tons.
For sure, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times it depends on the type of show it is, and if they have the money for CGI, and I remember when gunshots first came out, and the guy said, I could do 1,000 gunshots for $1. Now, so I'll take 1,000,000 of them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You may think it's $1, but when it comes right down to it, it's not. And the thing you lose with the CG that makes it look somewhat cartoonish is you don't have the little nuances. When I pull the trigger, there's a facial expression on you, and myself. And the camera sees all that.
Absolutely.
You don't notice it, or you may not notice, or you may think, man, there's something wrong with that. That in your mind's eye, you don't think, it's, the CGI gunshot. And sometimes it's work because, suspension of disbelief. You're looking at something else, and that's the gunshot and everything else.
Yeah, you're
but
right.
you
For sure.
concentrate on that, and all of a sudden, there's something not right. And at some point in a lot of this, something isn't right, and kind of spoils. It's like when the scariest film I ever saw in my life was Day of the Triffids when I was a kid. I went to the theater, and it was like just terrifying. I watched it a couple of years back, and I thought, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. But back then, it sold for what it was. Now it's like, oh, is that ever bad?
Something like Jurassic Park, though, is still rather impressive.
Sure.
Like beyond what the new Jurassic Parks.
Yeah.
The first one was still a killer.
Yeah, but you also have to look at the fact that CG and AI now and everything else has its place, and there's I don't think it replaces everything, and especially the interaction with actors and people. That's tough to do. Some people can really sell it. If you're a great actor, you're looking at a green screen, you can do that, and then they
Those
Star
movies
Wars.
always blow.
Yeah, but I
Looking
mean,
at a big dragon.
Yeah.
but I don't know whether it's like they don't shoot film anymore, but they still want the haze for it to look like film. When they do.
Yeah.
So they
Kinda
put that
weird,
in
isn't it?
post.
Yeah.
Motion blur and
Yeah. So
grainy.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that
there's a
yesterday.
place for it, and that level will be found, but there's still be, the low budget want to make a film about, whether it's vampires or their life or whatever it is, and they'll go for the real deal, So I'm not that worried about it, and I'm doing a show now where there's such the best, nicest way of putting it is they don't know the difference. They wouldn't appreciate the difference. So, and they don't have the money. But go CGI. I couldn't care less. You don't want a bullet hit? Fine with me. I don't want to do one for you because it'll be a fucking nightmare, and I'll be explaining the square root of -1 to you for days, and it's just not worth it. And I can hold it in my hand and it can go off, and you'll make me go through total hell putting it on someone. So,
Yeah.
who needs that shit?
I won't appreciate it when it's done.
Yeah, and I'm at the point where I'm not saying I don't care, but I don't give a shit. That they've gone down a path where the pendulum swung a long way one way, and they think they're right, and okay, I don't know that you are, and my pendulum's way over there, so and I can go either way, and I don't want you stunt guys to take that the wrong way, okay? So I know what you're like. Yeah, I saw that.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know. And so a lot of times it doesn't make that big of a difference to me. If I don't do it, that's fine. I know how to do it, and I can do it 10 times better than with the CG. Not only that, everyone that gets hit or does this or does that with the real effects, there's a interaction with people and the camera that they're never gonna.
Yeah, I agree with that so much, man.
I loved what he said about the interaction with the handgun.
Yeah.
If I fire my handgun here, your look on your face. Intuitively, the audience is picking up that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I mean, that's how marketing is done and all that, is playing off these things that you don't understand because it's subliminal.
Yeah,
so I'm with you.
Yeah, but in any advertisement or anyone that has an agenda, they're playing to that. I'm not saying they're smarter than us, but they know that fucks with you, and
Totally.
they can do this and that. You'll react it this way and everything.
Big time.
So
Yeah.
I don't know the next generation will be that woke to that kind of stuff. Like I think they'll realize.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, they'll get smart enough as they get older that that won't be like if I get told something, through advertisement or for the purpose they want me to, I'm always questioning that, and not in a negative way, but certainly, is that really true, or do I really like that? You're telling me what I like, or how I should smell, or how I should look at something. Well, sometimes it's worth being a little more subjective and saying,
exploring.
yeah,
all
I don't like
options.
that. It's like the day of the trip is one time scared the shit out of me. And now I look at it and I appreciate what they've done, because they did some, like when one of the trees were moving, I could see the guys underneath picking it up and going like this. So it was like, normally you wouldn't see that when you're a kid or something, but it's, but they went a long way to, condition it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Or I just watched Spartacus the other day, and I watched it years ago. I guess they've corrected it, but when they ride up type thing, and Willem Dafoe's in it, and that kind of thing, and you can see Rich watches on 2 of them. It's like
Actors.
so that I would never know that unless I read it, and I looked for it now only because I'm in the film industry.
Right.
That kind
That's
of
funny.
stuff.
Yeah.
How people react and where the money goes. I did a thing called Never Ever Do This at Home, and we did some amazing effects on that. You should look that one up. I'll send you some tapes. There are some crazy shit in that. And it was a huge success. And then the next year, Spike TV came in. They had their lawyers there, and they called me into the meeting, and they said, this is too violent. Too violent. Never do this at home. Like they wanted to move a piano from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor. So I took det cord and I blew out the floor, and the piano came down. Then the guy walked up and started playing, and all the dust coming down, that kind of shit. And he said, way too violent. I said,
It's
you
funny.
show MMA people beating the shit and trying to kill each other every day.
Totally.
This is too violent.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, we want it more like let's say you get up in the morning, you go into the shower, and coffee comes out of the shower. So you have your coffee for the morning thing. I said, that's the stupidest
Yeah,
fucking thing
you're
I
gonna
ever heard.
scold the guy.
He says, you can't talk to me like that. And I said, well, it's a little late. I already did, you know, like, so apparently I didn't get along with him that well. But I mean, he had ideas like that, so they canceled the show. Or they started it, and then I guess someone looked at it and said, get this piece of shit out of here. But the first reason, like, everyone I talked to, oh, you did that show? That's amazing, you know. You blew up a house with propane. We love that. You
Yeah,
know?
but doesn't anyone understand that if someone does do that at home after you've told them not to, that if they blow up, the world might be better off that they're gone?
Yeah, you're getting into the Darwin theory now. All right. Yeah,
Well,
I
unless
mean,
he blows up his mom and his cousin and everyone else.
yeah,
But.
I mean, I always thought, you know, Darwin had a point, you know, so, but, you know, I
To
don't know
some
what to tell
degree,
you.
I mean, yeah,
And
that's the thing.
These are the people with the money that finance it, and
I know.
they-
I'd love to talk to somebody who bends to all this stuff and ask them why.
well, the thing is, once you get into the corporate world, you have, you know, what's his name kisses his ass and kisses her ass,
Yeah.
that ass,
Yeah.
and whatever you say, 3 bags full, you know. So.
Yeah, no, it's
But
true. And
They know better than all of us.
apparently. I mean, you know what? They might. I don't know. They might have all these statistics and shit that
Well,
we just don't
I
even
certainly don't
fucking
watch it anymore, so
know. No, yeah.
So Max, there's some kid sitting at home wanting to be a special effects expert.
Mhm.
Wants to work for you. Wants to work in movies doing special effects. Any advice?
yeah, I think get into it with anything you can do in film, and you know, whether it's volunteering or being a PA and watching what goes down, see if you like to hurry up and wait, that kind of stuff. And if it suits you, then
Yeah, it takes a temperament. There's a particular temperament. The hours that you guys work, some of the things that you have to do, and
I like what you said earlier too. That you don't have to know everything.
no,
You have to be curious and interested, and you want to get into it, and you have to, I don't know, whatever. But
Yeah.
you don't got to know everything. Like trust the system a little bit.
yeah, for
You know?
sure. I mean, the system is what it is. I mean, we have to adapt to it. They have to adapt to it as well. And as far as getting a chance in, whether you're doing special effects or stunts or whatever, I'd get into the independent, non-union stuff, get your feet wet, and see what you like. Once you get into the union, you're kind of stuck in whatever their politics are, whether it's stunts or effects or the union itself. And if you want to go somewhere, you're better off doing the indie thing. And
where you get to do a little of everything,
yeah, exactly.
as opposed to the big show where you're going to get stuck with smoke in the corner.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or go get me a coffee.
Yeah.
Move that mat. That kind of shit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So yeah, and the other thing is, I tell my guys, and a lot of them realize it, and that's why, they're accepted in the union in a heartbeat. Is that they know a little bit about everything. It's not like they're raw going in. If you, I was just talking to one of the guys, a young guy that worked for me, and got into an IA, and they couldn't figure out this particular gag, and he figured it out in about 5 minutes. And they said, will that work? And these guys have been there for years. He said, yeah, we do it all the time. He says, yeah, but can you do it on your phone? He says, that's how we do it, And he showed them, and all of a sudden they went and bragged about what they found out, So, and this guy came out through Indie World, with me, because I do a lot of indies, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 9 or 10 guys that have come through my organization that are now in IA that they're not just called as bodies; they're called to do something. So
Awesome.
Wow.
That's a good feeling, man.
yeah, and it's because they have a bit of knowledge of everything, and they know their shit, and they're not afraid to, adapt their shit to whatever their protocol is. They said, "Yeah, you want to do it that way? Go ahead." It's like, the effects brothers. This is going to take 2 weeks. Just actually, we could do it in 2 hours, and then to show you, and then you can refine it any way you want after that to, present it to production. And sure enough, because they came to phone me and said, "Can you loan us this, that, and the other?" I said, "Sure." And in 2 hours, they did the gag. Thing went through the studio, picked up what it had to, and then kept going like big arm pulled it through. And, bungee. Another one was a gag with a steel bathtub. Had to go up 2 floors, through a door, and into the bathroom because they couldn't get through the room. And I rigged a big jump bungee up and through and out to a truck. So you can't do that. Yeah, have the truck drive and then tree quick release go like this. Landed exactly where it is. Took out the entire door, but that was the gag, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
Landed there, So.
Sweet. That's good.
So I mean, sometimes you can do stuff that's dick simple, and people overthink it. Especially if they're getting paid to overthink it, and it's 2 weeks. When I was in Morocco, it was they didn't know how to do something, and there was a guy from the States, Lee, who was a good pyro guy. Never wanted to be on set though, and I said, let's just you and I do this because obviously this other democracy doesn't work. And 2 of us did what they thought it'd take 16 guys 2 weeks. We did it in 2 days, and it went off perfect. So. And then they rebuilt it all with 700 laborers, and then we got it down to where we could put it together one day, and they'd shoot it the next. Did it 7 times that way. And they spent $700,000 just cleaning the area because they were using a brand new technology. I think it was like $7 million a camera, and it was 3D. And I had to look through it. They let me look through it, and at 100 yards away, you could see the hair on someone's nose. It was like just the weirdest thing. But they had to keep all the mirrors totally spotless. They had like 4 or 5 air conditioners around each one. It had to be at a certain temperature. And we had dust storms every day. I said, like, what are you going to do? But
wow.
But it was
Interesting way to shoot.
Different environment.
Yeah, it was a weird camera.
It's cool they got to let you they let you look through it though.
Yeah,
That's
they wouldn't
really
let
nice.
anyone else, but all the guys kind of listened to me because the workers, that is, because they kind of like what I do and type thing, and I'd have them and their families in at night to take pictures of them with a gun. I had grandma shooting machine guns, and
That's always fun for a family photo.
Yeah.
well, especially there, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I mean, I sort of got along with them, and then the camera guys had a real problem keeping temperature control, right? And the guy that was watching me was, the fuck is his name? In any case, a government official, let's say, and they couldn't get air conditioners, and I just asked him. He got all the air conditioners they wanted
Really?
Wow.
immediately.
You're the go-to guy for everything.
Oh, he was.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
That's cool.
So they sort of were okay with me. They actually let me sit next to the camera. And the one guy, I was yelling for a fire extinguisher, and he comes and says to me, you can't be that loud around the camera. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? The camera's listening to me? Get the fuck out of here. He was dead serious. He was like one of these weird camera freaks, right? And the other guys just laughed, but
I can't wait to use that line at work.
What's that?
You can't be that loud. Don't be that
Yeah.
loud
Yeah,
around
yeah,
the camera.
it was like this. Shh, the camera. You gotta be quiet around the camera.
It's awesome.
Boom, knock the camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a interesting time.
Well, Max, we're slowly going to just sort of round this all up.
Okay,
I'm wondering if you felt like signing our table.
I guess I could. Could I print?
You, man,
Don't do any math.
you can
Pick-
do what
pick-
you want wherever you
Pick a
want.
place that's nice and clean.
This is nice and clean.
Copy that.
Just like my mind.
Absolutely. There's a little emptiness there. There's that scratch.
Yeah, there it is for all the annoyed Spotify listeners, or Apple Music, or iHeart, or Google, or
Don't list
what
them all.
else is there?
Everywhere you get your podcast.
That's right. Thanks for the good times. Well, I'm glad it was a good
Thanks
time.
for the good times, little girls.
Whoa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man.
I love it. Everybody listening to this should meet you someday. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Agreed.
Max, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, bud.
Yeah, it was
a
awesome
pleasure.
having you here.
You know the man drove 4 hours to be here, right?
Really?
Actually, 5.
Close to 5.
Oh, well, then
I
that's
went
nothing.
And,
Wow.
I'll come again when I can't stay so long.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I really appreciate it, Max. This is awesome, brother. You're a fucking wealth of knowledge, man. Holy shit.
Don't get me drinking. A few
Wow.
beers.
We should have.
Look out.
Whoa.
Should have.
Next time.
Yeah.
Not only that, I behaved myself.
Did you?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Man, we got to have you back.
That's incredible.
I go into restaurants, or I don't go to that many anymore because,
They'll hate you.
no, they always say, I remember you.
Ah, of course.
Well, even today, I was really nice to her,
Yes,
but
you were.
she's going to miss me when I'm gone.
Yes, she is.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Is this one of the ladies down with the badge?
Yep. He's quite a character.
Once you got to look at these baby blues, she's like putty in my hand. I said that to
Even
a
I feel
producer
that.
one time. This is the bitch from hell. And I said, and she was sitting right beside me, and I knew I was in trouble anyhow. And a guy came up and asked me something, and I knew he'd asked her, and I was going to tell him to. And I said, listen, it was about blowing this tire, right? And with 3,000 pounds of air, like, I mean, blowing the tire. And I said, listen, I'll talk to her. She has one look at these baby blues, and she's sitting right there, and she's just waiting to, rip my throat out. All right. And, she did. And then she agreed to it, and I said, see? So it went uphill from there.
That's awesome.
Right on, man.
Maybe downhill.
I don't know.
One of those hills.
It's a perspective thing.
Yeah. But I took her out drinking, and she
Oh,
turned
geez.
into a totally different person. I just fucking howled, and I guess she hadn't been laid in 5 minutes or something, and she was
There we go.
a whole different person.
Wow.
Fucking A. For the rest of the movie, you're just outside. You know what I
No,
mean?
forever.
Oh,
Like, I still hear from her.
no shit.
Whoa. That's another
changed.
podcast.
Yeah, you changed the girl's ways.
I'll kill you, you cocksucker. Ooh. Well, there's part of that that's wrong.
Yeah, that's funny.
That is funny.
All right.
All right.
We're going to close it off.
Okay.
Thanks, Max.
Okay. Remember,
Cheers, man. Thank
again, your imagination is the flywheel in the ransackled machine or the awful truth. It's going to be a test later.
We're both going to
Okay.
fail.
Fuck. I like to keep it simple, stupid, but whatever.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
And me?
It
We're
was nice
just
getting
gonna-
those off.
Cut it, D.